So now that we've looked at different percent problems, including percent increase, decrease, markups, markdowns, we're going to be looking at specific types of percents when we deal with borrowing money, something called simple interest. And so we're going to look at this problem and break it down to see what it's asking. Larry invests $100 in a savings plan. The plan pays 4.5% interest each year on his $100 account balance. How much money will Larry earn in interest after 3 years? After 5 years? So let's go sentence by sentence. The first thing we notice is that Larry invests $100 in a savings plan. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that part. $100 in a savings plan. Well, what does invest mean? It actually means that he is saving this much money in a bank and hopes to earn even more money by not spending it, by not spending it at all. The second sentence says the plan pays 4.5% interest each year on his $100 account balance. So 4.5% interest each year, $100 account balance. Well, what is interest? It is actually the amount of money earned or owed on a total given amount of money over a period of time. So for example, when you borrow money, you have to pay the money back plus interest. So in other words, an additional charge for borrowing the money and then taking a longer time to pay it back. So looking at this problem, they want to know how much interest Larry will earn after 3 years and then also after 5 years. So there's two parts to the question. We're going to focus on the 3 years, and then you guys are going to do the 5 years in your draw it activity. So if we actually look at our star chart, there is a special formula that we use when dealing with interest, and it is I equals PRT. So go ahead and write this on your paper. I stands for interest. P is the principal, or the original balance. So let's write that below. The original starting amount of money, balance. And then the R is going to be the interest rate, which we know is given in a percentage. And then the T is going to be the time in years, right? So we mostly talk about the time in years. So we're going to substitute the values that we have into our equation. So let me rewrite it. I equals PRT. And so we know that the interest is what's missing. So that is going to remain as an I. And the principal is the amount that we start off with, which is the $100 in savings. We know the interest rate is the percentage, right? The 4.5%, which I could write as 4.5% because we know we have to convert percents to decimals before we put them into an equation. So I have 0.045 as our interest rate. And the time that we have is 3 years. So that is the time. Alrighty. So now that we have everything substituted into our equation, we are going to multiply all of these numbers together and let's see what we get. So 100 times, in fact, let's reverse it, 0.045 times 100. Well, we already know we can move the decimal point over 2 places to the right, but let's go ahead and just do our multiplication to see what we get. And we get 4.5 times 3. And so then 4.5 times 3, one number behind the decimal point, so one number behind the decimal point here. So we get 13.5. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that this is the amount of interest we earn on our $100. So if I went back up to the question, it says, how much money will Larry earn in interest after 3 years? So Larry will earn $13.50 in interest after 3 years. Alrighty, so now that we've done that for 3 years, you're going to try and find the amount of interest earned after 5 years. So just to stamp and make sure you have this equation, I equals PRT, where the interest is found by multiplying the principal times the interest rate times the time in years.